Hello, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America, featuring today's top directors sharing behind-the-scenes stories of their latest films and insights into the craft of directing. Please take a second to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. This episode takes us behind the scenes of director Yann Demange's new crime drama, White Boy Rick. Set during the height of the crack epidemic and the war on drugs in 1980s Detroit, the film tells the true story of Rick Wershe Jr., a teenager who was convinced by federal agents to become an undercover drug informant in exchange for keeping his gun-dealing father out of prison. Seduced by the lure of easy money, he gets in too deep and becomes a notorious drug dealer himself. In addition to White Boy Rick, Mr. Demange's credits include the feature film 71, episodes of the series Top Boy, Criminal Justice, and Secret Diary of a Call Girl, and episodes of the miniseries Dead Set. Following a recent screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Mr. Demange spoke with director John Singleton about filming White Boy Rick. During their conversation, Mr. Demange talks about casting 15-year-old Richie Merritt as the lead, emphasizing experiential storytelling during the film, and how meeting the real White Boy Rick allowed him to find the tone for the film.
All right.
Hello. Thank you for coming. It's my first DJ screening.
All right, give it up. First DJ screening. The first of many more. This is the first time we've had a chance to meet. I love you. I love your work. I love 71.
Thank you very much. I love yours.
Thank you. This is a great American film, man. You know, so I mean, when you came in this, what was your mindset in terms of like coming into this? You know, you're from France, right?
Yeah, I'm a Londoner actually, but I was born in Paris.
Okay.
Yeah,
but you're in London.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm a French passport holder, born in Paris, but raised in London.
Okay. But what was your mindset in going into making an American film? You know, such an American film.
Well, like, you know, once I decided to take it on board, I had to research. You know, you got to get a sense of authenticity for the place, to get the context and tone. Mm-hmm. So it's just like when I did 71. You know, I'm not Irish.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And you know, you just got to dig deep. Mm-hmm. And I spent a lot of time in Belfast. So I did that film, and with this, I spent time in Detroit, meeting people, meeting Rick in jail regularly, and speaking to him regularly. And then it's really just photography, a lot of photography, news footage. You know, you can find so much news footage of the period. Mm-hmm. I find news footage great.
I love the way you use the music in this, man.
Okay.
You know, some of the stuff is like, not to digress, but it was great. You use mixes that basically did not even have a lot of the vocals in it. And if you know the music, you're in the groove of it.
Yeah, it's like it was important to get a sense. I got someone to use to record vinyl for me. Old vinyl, mix it to the scenes, and then put it back onto digital for me, just to get a sense of that analog vibe.
This is the second time I've seen this film. I saw it over at Sony and Thalberg a couple days ago. It seems like you know hip hop very well. When you use the PSK, the Schoolie D tune, I just went postal. Some of you may not even know who that is, but.
I'm glad that affects you. Brilliant.
I remember the
soundtrack. That's one of the things. Like straight away, I geeked out about the era. You know, I sort of grew up with all this music, and it was great to have an excuse to go in and use it. You know, and use the tracks that so many people have sampled since. Yes. Yeah.
And there's some little small amount of detail. Anybody see that he was watching Serpico on TV? You know, it's a small little thematic details like that to just help the storyline. There's a directorial thing I was thinking about. I wanted to ask you was, you did this also in your first movie. You do it very well in this movie too. There's a fine line between reportage and being very stylized, you know, and what you did very well. There's a good sequence in this picture where the father and Rick go into the house and it busts the sister with the guy, and then it goes all the way outside, introducing the grandparents and everything. And the cacophony, you're in the moment. You're in the moment. What's your mindset in terms of like that thing, in terms of doing that? Because you did it a lot in 71 too, and you do it in this picture as well.
It's just I enjoy being immersed in something when something is experiential rather than told, rather than covered. You kind of just you know you're in it. You're in the middle of it, and you set it up so you can be 360 and just and the camera behaves like a character in the scene a little bit. You know, you want to throw people in there, a bit like gaming.
It feels very organic. It feels like it's, you know, you're watching a reflection of life. You're basically a voyeur in it. You know?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm glad it had that. You know, I look at each scene and decide the style for the content, so to speak. So we didn't stick to one style for the whole film. Yes, because we felt like, you know, we're going through seasons. You went through so much that I didn't want a sort of homogeny, just to kind of go, oh, that's so authored. It's one thing. It was nice to mix it up, and there are moments like that where you just want to get a sense of the chaos of it and be caught up in the middle of it, you know, just like really in the heart of the chaos and capture the energy of it.
It's just like, and just the capper at the end, he's like, we're going for custard. It's like, it's indelible. Where'd you find this kid? I mean...
Baltimore. Yeah, I mean, it was a two-pronged attack.
How was he when you shot it?
He's 15. 15 when I shot, yeah.
When you found she was 15? Oh.
He was 15 during the shoot, yeah, it was a nightmare. The days had to be so short.
Wow. Short. How many hours a day?
8 hours. 8 hour days,
day,
and he had to be in school for God knows how long with him. But yeah, so it was it put a lot of pressure on the production.
This is his first film.
Yeah, he'd never acted before. I mean, like I say, it was a two-pronged attack. I was reading actors, and there was a couple of great ones. There was one that was great, but you could tell he wasn't 15. You know, he's like 20-something years old. Yeah. And you know, I was looking at. I approached Francine Mazer did the main casting, and then there's someone called Jennifer Vendetti who cast American Honey. Actually, took care of the street casting, and they just looked at multiple states. And I was looking for areas where there were kids that, you know, there was genuine integration, where there was working class white kids that did mix in African American communities, where there was, because, you know, when it's difficult for a young teenager to give a true transformative performance. And the kids that the kids I were meeting, they were great actors. You could just tell they hadn't really been around, you know, the African American community, and it just felt, you could smell, it was like a kind of weird YouTube appropriation. It just like, it didn't, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, we got to find kids that are it as well, just in case, you know, that's the better route. I wasn't sure which way to go, and you know, even when we met him, I was a bit, you know, nervous to be expected. And but what I liked is the effect. I brought him into LA. I brought him to LA. He didn't know who Matthew McConaughey was. Never heard of him.
It's great. I love it.
And I mean, the way they found him, one of Jennifer's scouts was at a principal's office in Baltimore pitching him. And a lot of the schools know about street casting, the principle of it, because The Wire did it there for many years. Yes. So, you know, she was pitching and saying, this is what we'll do, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, they're walking out the office, and the guy was like, well, and there was this kid waiting to see him. He's like, you can start with him. And that's the kid we ended up casting.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you know, I mean...
And what was great was the effect he'd have on Matthew. Because Matthew could come in hot and, you know, but he was smart, Matthew. Straight away, when I did a one-day workshop, I was like, let's try this kid out. Matthew would... like sort of home into the kids' frequency and know that he'd have to be in the kids' film. Exactly. Like Matthew, like the kid couldn't be in a Matthew McConaughey film. So it sort of was interesting. It sort of anchored Matthew, and it anchored everyone around him. When I tried him with other people, I was like, okay, he didn't have a natural actor's instinct to sort of go, this is my moment, or emote, or there are moments, you know, he sort of keeps you. He's quite enigmatic. And
I think his naivete gave him even more power as the character.
Yeah.
because he was also, I mean, his naivete as a young person, but his also naivete in the world that he was going to go into.
Completely.
He was just a kid, you know.
Completely. Like a lot of people would like it to be an interesting gangster story, like a Kingpin, but he wasn't. He
wasn't at all.
He was a dumb kid.
Dumb fucking kid. He was,
Yeah,
and that was what. That
the
was
real
what
Rick was just a dumb kid.
Then that was also the strength in the way that he performed it, because it was just like he was blase, you know, and that was beautiful.
I'm glad you feel that way.
No, I loved it, because it was almost as if you could just put the camera on his face, and then there's a thing that I do. When I was in school, about to come out of the school and doing Boys in the Hood, I some of the best films I love were the Italian neorealist films. And what they used to do is to combine actors and non-actors.
Yeah.
And so I did that with my first movie, Boys in the Hood, and I've done that with different Hollywood productions. But so I understand what you're talking about, with getting this unknown kid and getting a well-known actor. And one thing I've found is that, you know, it's almost like you know music very well. It's like different people have their own instruments. It's like, you know, someone's playing bass, someone's playing drums. And like you say, Matt has an energy and this kid has energy, and they work off each other. It's very, very, it's magic when you can get different people together, you know, and then have that.
I agree. I mean, I love it.
It's hard to find. Yeah.
I love mixing. I've always mixed as well so far.
Me too.
The actor with the non-actor. I love more often than not the effect it has on the actor.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, because there are certain actors that basically, you're right. They're gonna go to their instinct. You know, the instinct that they think they have towards what the material is going to be, but then it changes with the dynamics of the elements that you put them in.
There's an element of, there's a gladiatorial nature to some of these leading men as well. They know, a gladiatorial nature. They know, they know when it's their moment and they're fucking going to seize it, sort of thing. And it's nice to the kid sort of undercut that, because he wouldn't lean into that, but he'd do it just without realizing he was doing it.
Yeah. It's magic, but the best magic is sight unseen. It's like you don't see the trick, you don't see the prestige. How was it like recreating the drug scene in Detroit? Have you heard of Young Boys Incorporated?
Yeah,
when you did the research.
When I was researching,
yeah. When you're researching it, you know.
Didn't they sort of use them as the basis for New Jack?
That was in Young Boys is Detroit. But New Jack was New York. There's all these various pop culture different things of who was running whatever city in New York, Detroit, Chicago, LA through the 80s now. Now it's kind of like a nostalgic lore of like, you know, the drug game and the drug wars are now kind of like America's Westerns. Like, you know, now we're talking like 30, 40 years of history. And so you have these pivotal figures who came up through that. And some people evolved in going into the hip hop and then going into different businesses and stuff.
They invested in hip hop.
Some of them were lucky enough. Some of them went into real estate. But it's really interesting how you with those brothers, the two, Little Man and Big Man, how you didn't linger on it. I love that you didn't linger on it, that the organization had been around for 10 years previously. You didn't linger on the fact they probably were in heroin before, you know, but it just really worked, and I just want to give you respect for that, because I'm really, really a stickler for like urban culture and how it is, you know, in film. I'm like, but the way you did it, you didn't make it didactic. You didn't have any speechified stuff. And it was a great that scene where when he comes back after getting that charge and shooting at the car, and he says, you you get time, you get white time. What we get, and it's just enough, and that's what made it so powerful. So I love that, man. You know.
Great, I'm glad you feel that way. Thank you. I mean, it means a lot coming from you. It can, there couldn't be a bigger authority on that one. But yeah, in that respect. But like, thanks. I mean, it's difficult because in many ways I would have liked to spend more time with the Currys, because not to dwell on their sort of CEO criminal enterprise. I mean, it was like they were really running a corporation.
He run the
It's
business.
huge.
Yeah.
But it was the family values, because like he they came up from Arkansas, they, like a lot of them from South, and these sort of deep family values. It was interesting to draw a parallel between the two families, but I didn't really have the real estate. There was so much plot and so much story. Yes. And once I took it on board, even though for me thematically I took the story on board because of the family, the theme of the family trying to survive this sort of abject poverty and this
even
landscape.
the whole thing that they had police and political connections was done very, very well. You didn't linger on it. It was just there. It was like they were partying over there in England. They were incestuous. It was just there.
Yeah, I mean, once it's one of those, like, if you're going to start to explain, you're going to
lose them.
That's going to be the whole movie.
Exactly.
Well,
you're gonna lose them. I mean, that party where everybody's just like, grooving and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's such and such, that's such and such. It's like, and they just all, chilling, they're doing their own thing. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, hey, what did you who shot this?
Tat Radcliffe. I've been working with Tat for like 13 years now.
Did he do 71?
Yeah, he's done everything.
Okay.
I mean, I do commercials with other people just to play. But
where's he from? Was it deeper?
London.
London. Oh, it's London. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Same editor, same DOP for 13 years.
Oh, wow. Good. That's great. I mean, it flows very well. It's just, it's interesting how you have created a continuity for yourself as a director from project to project. The character. Sorry to keep making a continuity for your first film from this one, but the character from your first film to this one is an outsider. Who basically gets into a certain world and it's dangerous, and he basically, how he's trying to get out of that world. It's with his life, and it has similar kind of thematics in terms of like a person going into death. The journey. Can you talk about that? What makes you interested?
The outsider is the bit that I was actually sent the article for White Boy Rick a year prior to me coming on board, and I didn't connect to it. I didn't connect to the informant story, and not on a personal level, the informant story and the drug dealer story. I thought it was a fascinating article, but I passed on the rights. But then I got sent the spec a year later, and I was like, oh, I know the White Boy Rick story, I'll read it. And then there was like, the first 10 pages had the father and son scene, and you could really get a sense of the kid as an outsider and the relationship with the family between the sister and the father. And then the father disappeared, but that's what triggered a sort of personal connection to it. I was like, oh, I completely, identify with being an outsider. And I've always been an outsider myself, like sort of French Algerian, born in Paris, raised in London. There's no sense of tribe, no sense of place, no sense of a national identity, let alone a tribe. I could say I'm a Londoner, but my London is it's a place that existed in the 90s. It's a cultural point, a moment that was transient, that's past. So I can always identify with. That's when I started seeing him that way. And there was the same with the kid in 71. Is that a boy that's looking for a tribe, that's looking for a sense of place and the paternal. And in many ways, this kid's looking for the paternal. He hasn't gotten that. The father's present, but he's too busy trying to be his buddy, rather than a parent. Mm-hmm. And these are all themes, that talk to me, like spoke to me about me and my father, and yes, absolutely being an outsider. That's something. Okay, I was like, this is a story I can tell once I found that hook.
I mean, it's phenomenal how certain directors, if we're lucky, we're able to put as much as our personality or the themes that are important to us as people into our work. Sometimes we do it, if we're lucky, we do it, we know we're doing, and then we can hone it thematically throughout the story. But sometimes serendipitously, we just do it, and then we find out, wow, I didn't know I did that. Yeah,
I've had that a couple of times.
Well, I mean, you definitely have it in this picture. So I mean, you're doing the circuit, and talking about the picture.
Yeah, I mean, I just came off a shoot. I just shot a director pilot, and then I went straight onto the circuit. I'm a bit fried.
What pilot was that?
It's called Lovecraft Country.
What is that?
It's called Lovecraft Country for HBO. I just did
okay.
it. Misha Green wrote it. It's my first bit of television here.
Oh, cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I was trying to chase you last year before you shot this. No, 2 years ago. For my show Snowfall.
Yes, that's
Remember?
right. Yes, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
We were trying to get you
Thanks,
to
man.
do the pilot because we changed up the pilot. And I was like, oh, this is the guy that I do it. It was like,
I appreciate that.
You weren't available. Were you doing this or were you doing Top Boy?
No, Top Boy I'd already done like years before actually, but I was deep in development.
You were doing 2 years ago, but
I was deep. I was like knee deep in this and trying to, and at the time I was trying to develop an LA Riots film with the same team in '71.
Okay.
But it just didn't. I spent a lot of time on it, and we just couldn't find a way in. I wanted to do the Battle of Algiers in LA, but I couldn't find a personal. We were the wrong.
Battle of Algiers in LA. What was that? What
that would have been the LA Riots '92. That's what.
That
was
that
kind
thing.
of my
Okay.
take. That was the idea.
I love the Battle of Algiers, man.
Well, same. I mean, it's just It's a
I mean,
big
you talk about a film that like just looks. It's I call it hyper reality, where it's like quasi docu style, but there's so much style in the picture.
Well, that mix is all non-actors. My aunt's in that film.
Oh, really?
My aunt plants the bomb in the milk bar.
What?
Yep.
She's Algerian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Only thing she's ever done.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. So you're a part of film history.
Well, I mean, it's like
Otherwise.
tenuous, but yeah, I'll hold on to it. I'll take it.
Anyway, anything you want to talk about that I haven't covered? I mean, I didn't. I was. I
You
can
put
talk
it right
everything
on me
about.
there.
I can talk about. I can linger just about the music in this picture because I told everybody involved in my show. I said, "Now see, motherfucker, this is how the music has got to be." I went over as soon as I saw this picture a couple days ago. I was like, I called up everybody. I said, "See this fucking movie." Excuse me for cursing. This weekend, and then it's funny
Thanks.
that you say that you guys got the vinyl because I know you know your shit. You got the vinyl and then you digitized the vinyl and you play it because we had nothing but vinyl back then. We had 12 inches singles back then, and there were no albums. Hip hop, there was no industry of hip hop. It was just party records, and so it was interesting.
Yeah, sometimes
your choices in here.
when they show clubs, the sound's just too clean. It's like
and there's no pops. There's no.
yeah, it's like shooting on the Alexa and not grading it or not putting a grain on it. Like you want it to be a bit dirty. You got to texture it.
Exactly,
and that's why
it feels more organic.
And it would be nice to just I mean, we tried actually doing analog recordings through speakers, but that was taking it too far.
You're serious? I love it. You're serious.
But we f***ed around.
Wow.
I geeked out about it. It was a nice opportunity to get records that you love, and
Yeah.
maybe we took the scratching too far actually because we were getting so into it. But it was fun.
But in those sequences, isn't it fun to like watch the way the audience reacts to the picture?
I haven't really had a
Some people
chance.
some people know the music and some people don't know the
yet.
music. To some people, they know that music, and other people it's just, oh, this is real, this is authentic.
Yeah.
The different generations are going to react in various ways to watching the scenes.
Some people just don't notice it. Let's be fair. Someone described it as a Grandmaster Flash facsimile, and I was like, well, you don't know what you're talking about, do you?
No, you don't know. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. What else do you want to talk about, man?
Oh, is this how
I thought they were going
works?
to push about this because you got to go to the academy.
I
After this.
didn't come with I can answer some questions if you like.
Okay, anybody have questions? Probably have time for like 2, maybe. Okay, you right here in the front.
Yeah, I learned a lot from them. Like, stay out, get out of the way. Sometimes just shut up and let it happen. But I mean, yeah, it was they're legends. I listened to their stories and 100%, yeah. And it's also having people, having someone in their 80s, 2 legends.
Darren tell you anything about Rafelson?
Sorry?
Did Darren tell you anything about working with Bob Rafelson?
No,
he didn't talk at all.
Or what on the hateful?
No, Bob Rafelson.
Oh, so Referson, I thought you were
way back in the day. Maybe you weren't probably even born.
No,
man.
no, we didn't. I mean, he told me all sorts of stories. I can't But it's like having someone like that, then having a 15-year-old who's never acted, then Bell, like having these 4 or 5 people like that, the scene,
Legends.
the Casa Tart, that was having, it was tough because it was like everybody had a different rhythm of working, and everybody, you got some people you could do multiple takes with, some people, Bruce Dern's going to mic drop after 2 takes, so you better pick your moment to bring him in. And he's not joking. You see the scene where he's walking out in the video store and Matthew brings him back? He'd actually had enough. He was leaving. Seriously. He sort of thinks at some point, if he's got nothing to say and you shoot too long, he's like, F this, I'm going. So, yeah.
All right, next question. Who else?
Okay, there's 2 biggies there. What was the first one? I'll start. Rick, yeah, Rick. Yes, I did. Look, it's a complicated, convoluted. It's like, so there's the article that I passed on. Universal bought that, and somebody else is developing that. Then there was a spec that came to me that John Lesher had with Robinoff at Studio 8. And then I'm developing it because I loved the family story. I found my way in with the family story, but I'm going, my God, it's a nightmare because there are so many stories. It's a mini-series. I mean, Rick had 3 kids by the time he was 17 with 3 different baby mothers. I mean, it's like the facts in the informant story are just endless and crazy, and they deserve their own show. And you got father-son story, a drug dealer story, a rise and fall story. You've got your atypical, your very familiar informant story, and you got a brother and sister story. You're trying to balance all these strands, and I didn't have life rights. And I was about to walk away actually because I was like, I can't find a way through it. I mean, it's not. I don't know how you distill this into a movie unless you give it a voiceover and you bind it with a VO. And I was and the original spec had one, and the first thing I did was take that out, and then it all fell apart. and then it wasn't Darren. Darren wasn't developing it. There'd been another project written by Andy Wise, who Lee Daniels I think was going to direct at one point, many years back, like almost a decade prior. And I get a phone call from Scott Franklin that works with Darren. He's Darren's partner. And he's like, Yann, we found the project that we're going to do together. Because after 71, I met with Darren and Scott, and we talked, we'll find something to do. He said, I found it. And it's like, what is it? He's like, the White Boy Rick story. I was like, you're taking the piss, aren't you? I'm like, I'm on it. He's like, you can't be on it. I've got the life rights. So I was like, Jeff was like, do you really want to pursue? I was like, Jeff, I can't find a way through it. I'm going to have to abandon it, or you're going to have to give me access because we don't have the article, and I need to know because I want to know about the family, and I don't want to make it up. I've got a moral and ethical obligation to get this right. It's not like, the guy's in jail. He's still alive. There's a lot at stake, and I don't think he's that bad a guy, so I don't really want to do it this way. So everyone agreed, and we created a marriage of the 2 projects, and then I ended up with 2 scripts that were like not quite working. Oh my God, I want to relive it right now. So that was a year and a half. That's probably when you were trying to...
Exactly.
That's right when you called. I had these 2 scripts. I was trying to weld together, and it was difficult, and it was essentially 2 films, and at least, and you had, it was that treading that tightrope of the film I wanted to tell thematically, the one that interested me emotionally, the emotional through line of the family. And then you have the obligation to land a sort of distilled haiku version of the facts so people understand why he's there. Mm-hmm. And then there was a journey, and then we were bringing other writers on board. And Rick was involved because I went to spend time with Rick the minute we acquired the rights. And when I sat down with him, I was the first person at that point, he'd been in 27 years, to ask him questions about his dad and his sister and his grandparents. Because, all anyone cared about was the extraordinary informant story. But, and then when he spoke about it, 2 things happened when I met Rick. He gave me a sense of tone, because the tone was all wrong. When I met him, I realized he was so funny. And everyone he put me in contact with was funny. And it was similar when I did the 71, when I went to Belfast. There's something that happens in Detroit, but in the places that like
Hard,
yeah. They got
hilarious.
Banter. Yeah, mad banter, like really, really fucking funny. And I was like, oh, we got to capture that.
Wow.
And not give it sort of this privileged outsider's gaze of poverty, like they're walking around in sort of Dickensian earnestness. And you give me a sense of tone and a few facts that I needed. and yeah, I kept him involved, but I was at pains to explain I'm not your biographer. I'm helping him get a biographer. We helped him get a documentary made. And I'm not your biographer. We are making a movie, and there's some things that'll be painful, but ultimately I hope there'll be enough emotional truth that you feel we do justice. And I kept him. I wasn't asking permission, but he had to be on board for me to feel comfortable doing it. I mean, it was a particular one-off experience.
Is there a moment? This is a question I want to ask you about. When you're working with 9 actors, is there a moment when you're working with a person like that in the schedule where you're seeing the kid is really clicking into another level to the role? You know, I'm like you guys shot it out of continuity, correct?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
But is there a place in which you looked at this kid and you're like, oh my God, he's much better than he was like 2 or 3 weeks ago? What was that moment? What was that? Because that's happened.
That's
to
when
me
you're like,
before,
can we reshoot the first 3 weeks?
Huh?
But yeah, I can't remember the actual moment, but you could see him hitting his stride.
Yes,
and as you're scheduling, we were moving things around. Like we'd sort of, with AD with Thomas and Thomas Smith, AD, that we'd be sort of going, all right, well, these scenes we're definitely going to wait till he's warmed up, and we were scheduling. We were going, we'll shoot this scene, this big moment right towards 3/4 in, just in case I need to do it one more, have another go at it, and get him warmed up a bit. But there was, I can't remember what the moment was, but after 2 weeks he was starting to hit his stride. But it's also, I was starting to find the grammar for the film, because I had to give up ideas that I had. Like often happens when you start shooting a film, you start going, when
did you do the gun scene? When did you do the gun show scene? When did you do it in the schedule? That one.
That was about 3/4 of the way in.
Of what?
That was 3/4 of the way in.
Okay.
Right, so towards the end. Yeah. I try to do the beginnings. Towards the end.
Exactly.
I keep the beginnings and the ends.
Yeah. Nice.
But you start. That was it. I had a style in mind, and I had grand plans or whatever, and there were certain things I couldn't get from him, and I had to lean into what it was becoming aesthetically and tonally and with the performance. And it's like there's a point where you kind of you using a music reference. It's like it became the metronome of the thing.
How did it come up that you had the little kid come to the house? Where that idea come from?
That was the original. That scene was the original spec. The custard scenes was the original spec. It's the Miller brothers. They had they had that sort of tone. But that was always there. Though he was like dressed as a church kid, and I was like, that's taking it a bit far. But
I love that. I love that moment because it was so organic and it's so unpredictable. It was like, but it was like what it should be. It didn't take you out of the movie at all. It was like, I was like, wow, okay, yeah.
I'm glad you feel that way. But tonally, I was always. I found it gets a bit higher, the comedy there, but it was like that the comedy, the pitch of the humor gets a little bit higher there. But it was fun. It was fun on the day, I have to say.
But to your credit, you keyed into something that I've always said people don't get. I can only make an example of, like, you watch Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas, right? He does this mafia epic, and it's so funny. It's comedy. Goodfellas is comedy. When you're in an urban setting and you have a lot of hardship, whether or not you're in Belfast, whether or not you're in South Central Los Angeles, or you're in East New York, people who go through adversities, so much adversity, economic adversity, all kinds of stuff. They want to live. They want to laugh. They want to love. And it's really interesting how in a lot of films they don't capture that. They don't capture the humor, the celebration. Celebration where there's all this other shit going on, but they're celebrating life. And you got, that's what I really loved, what you really got that in this picture, you know.
Okay.
And just explain it. I mean, before I invited you, explain it to everyone before, you know. So
I'm glad you feel
keep it in that rhythm. You know.
Cool. Thanks.
Anything else?
No, I wouldn't make that sort of grand claim. I'm sure. I mean, I took Matthew McConaughey to visit him in jail. I'm sure that caused a bit of a stir. But things were happening anyway because someone passed away that was probably had it in for him for a long time, and things were shifting anyway naturally, I think. And this may have been a contributing factor, but I wouldn't say we should take the claim, claim it. What the process of working TAT? Okay, I've been working with assets for 13 years. I mean, one of the main things is we want to try not to repeat ourselves, and it's exchanging references. We always try and come up with a sort of a tone book, a sense of rules. We assign lenses. We kind of geek out about things like that, really, and more often than not, we may have a couple of technical scenes boarded, but we'll usually just bring the actors in, block it, put it up on its feet, and call the coverage out to one another, and then the actors will go off and get ready, and we'll argue about it for a while, and after you've done the first setup, you sort of inevitably go, all right, well those 3 shots can go, and on this one it's quite improvisational in that respect because you kind of got to react to the performances.
Where'd you two meet? Where'd you two meet?
So we met. We did a commercial together in London about 13 years ago. We did a commercial for the French market for an anti-domestic violence campaign, and I loved his operating. It wasn't ever about the lighting; it was about the operating at that point. It was that he really had a sensitivity to actors and to the moment, and you can't direct that. You can't ask for...
Very subtle.
Yeah.
Very subtle. I mean, none of the moves you made were kind of traditional, moves in terms of the camera movement. I mean, I really appreciate that.
And it's his temperament. It's his temperament that, I love. Very calm man, very little words. He's quite a poetic guy, actually. The process of watching him work or show or teach, like I say, the first few days I assemble as I go. Chris Wyatt, that's been working with me 13 years, we'll be assembling as we go, and I'll start learning the grammar of the film because I'll have my rules, I'll have my sense, and then there'll inevitably be the day where I've done this shot that I thought was going to be the bomb, and I've done it like 12 takes, and I'll go and see the first cut and he's not used it, and I'm like, yeah, all right, I've got to stop doing that, and so. And that's like they show me that it's the collaboration.
Yes, it's like having a band,
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the band. Yeah, but I shoot them, so I don't know if that's a rehearsal.
Did you guys have a period before you guys shot the film when you had actors?
Sorry,
did you have that period where you guys had
a period of
actors
rehearsing?
And you had
I did.
a week and a half or whatever.
I did a little bit. Like the kid, I didn't rehearse as much as I had an acting coach working with him. I put him through boot camp. I changed it when I got him. He's a kid from abject poverty. Like he was ADD'd up to the hill. I didn't want him taking pills for it. I changed his diet. Really, it was like attacked his diet, his habits, the way he lived, and got him exercising and had him on a regime. And every day he'd eat what I told him to eat, and I got him a dietitian, like a nutritionist, and really attacked it that way to get to help with his attention. And we had an acting coach, and it was really, she was remarkable. It was just about trying to. He's experienced so much, but at the age of 4, his mother had abandoned him. Like he's experienced hardship. Older brother in jail. He's from the hood. He's a real kid from the hood.
I can tell.
And he has a lot to access, and and what we work with him is like just going. giving him permission to access his own experiences and learning to give things little moments in a life, so that hopefully we can see it in the face. And so it's just exercises like that rather than working on the text itself, because once we did that, it would just die to death. And with people like, with Matthew, not rehearsing as such, we discuss the scenes a lot of talking, a lot of discussing of, what the father's philosophy, the sense that he endlessly believes in the promise of America, and that, if you do the right thing, you'll transcend your lot in life. And I talk about Dawn, who perhaps can see through all of that, which is probably why she needs the opiates. And we discussed the text a lot, but I didn't see the point in rehearsing it as such. And then on the day itself, we'll rehearse it and put it up on its feet and shoot. Yeah, I mean, not too much, but he's a kid of little words as it is. Like, so you get him on the... Well, that's not entirely true. But you'd have to. It's like that thing, right? The scenes where I really went, this is a well-written scene, I'm going for the jugular of what the scene was and it should be, and it didn't quite happen. Sometimes when it doesn't happen, you can't f*** a dead horse. You have to pivot and kind of go, all right, well, what can I connect to inside of him that I might capture in the face? And he's very subtle, and that's just how he is. And and there's certain things, he has certain instincts, he just wouldn't do certain things. He's like, no, I wouldn't do that. And he didn't want to do it. And I wasn't going to, and once I pushed him a bit too far, I was like, I didn't ask to be a actor, man. Me and Matthew would laugh. So there's always a risk he wouldn't come back the next day. So he's like, all right, cool.
Is that it?
Yeah, I need to go down.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. If you'd like to hear more, you can find past episodes of The Director's Cut wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll have a lot more for you in the coming weeks as awards season approaches, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please like, share, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.